Hey guys, Mr. Monotone here, back with another YouTube video. Today we are once again talking about Valorant. It's episode 2 of my new Valorant how-to series. If you're not familiar with the series, I will be reviewing each and every character on the game, going over what their abilities do and how their abilities should be used. They're basically just character tutorial videos. Today's video is all about Sova, our blue-eyed Russian hunter. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below, and check out my episode on how to raise.
Choose your character.
Now, the first ability I'll be going over is Sova's Owl Drone. The description reads as so. Equip an Owl Drone. Fire to deploy and take control of movement of the drone. While in control of the drone, fire to shoot a marking dart. This dart will reveal the location of any player struck by the dart. So, his drone is pretty self-explanatory, really. You throw a drone out into the air, you fly it around, you use it to find other players, enemy players, and you shoot them with your tracking dart that is on the drone. The tracking dart will highlight the enemy player and make them visible to your entire team and through walls. So it's pretty useful. The biggest concern with the drone is position. I see a lot of people launch the drone while they're way too far out in the open, and they get caught in their drone mode by another enemy player and just get killed without any resistance, really. Um, so you want to make sure that when you go into drone form, you have teammates nearby so that you don't get snuck up on. And you also want to make sure that you want to use your drone in corridors where you don't want to risk peeking past a corner, or in big wide open spaces where you can easily find and track enemies. Ability number 2. Now, this is his shock dart. The description for this ability reads as so. Equip a bow with shock bolt. Fire to send the explosive bolt forward, detonating upon collision and damaging players nearby. Hold fire to extend the range of the projectile. Alternate fire to add up to 2 bounces to this arrow. Now, I don't think this is a great ability. It seems just way too random. Like, sure, it has its uses. Believe me, okay? I think that it's most useful in situations where you know that an enemy is like around a corner or something. And if you have a wall to bounce the shock bolt off of, I think that helps it out a lot because the bouncing is, in my opinion, what makes the shock bolt usable at all. The fact that you're able to hit an enemy player without even looking at them. But if you're not really good at bouncing the arrows, or you're not really too aware of where enemies are, this ability falls flat, dude. It's it's not great. It's not great. It's not high damage like what Raze's grenades do. It's not easy to use. It's just all around. I think that it's an ability that requires way too much skill to use. Like, I would rather just use my gun than switch to shock bolt. But like I said, there are certain circumstances when the shock bolt is pretty useful, but you need to learn how to get the bounces perfectly if you want to make the shock bolt a top tier ability. Let's move on to ability number 3, which is probably his best. Now we finally get to his signature ability. The description reads as so. Recon Bolt. Equip a bow with Recon Bolt. Fire to send the bolt forward, activating upon collision and revealing the location of nearby enemies caught in the line of sight of the bolt. Enemies can destroy the bolt. Hold fire to extend the range of the projectile. Alternate fire to add up to 2 bounces to this arrow. Now, it works very similar to Shock Bolt in the way that it's an arrow that you shoot out of the bow, right? It has the same bouncing mechanics as Shock Bolt, but it's immensely better, okay? Because of the enemies caught in line of sight part. So, you don't need to be good at bouncing the arrow to hit it straight onto an enemy because it has a wide range of detection. You have to get it into a general area and it will track enemies within that area. Very simple to use. But despite its simplicity, I still think that it's one of the better abilities in the game because it just works so well. Because if it does track enemies, that's great. You know that there's an enemy there, it shows you their location, it shows you where they're moving because it has several pulses of signatures where it just keeps tracking. But even if it doesn't track enemies, that's still very vital information because that still tells you that there aren't any enemies there. So there must be enemies somewhere else. A process of elimination. So even if you don't track anybody with it, it still helps. It doesn't matter. As long as you get the bolt into a good area that you know will allow it to check out a wide area, then it doesn't matter if you don't find anybody. It just matters whether or not you get information from that. And I think that's the most important part about this. You just want to try, though, to get this bolt into a wide open space because it can't track through walls. The walls block its tracking ability. So you want to get it into a wide open area, which is where the bounces come in handy, because if you bounce it off of a wall, you can get it into that area without risking getting your head shot off. So overall, it's a really good ability. Just takes a bit of skill to use. And that's all I have to say about it. Let's move on to his ult. Now we move on to Sova's ultimate, which I find to be an extremely unique ultimate in this game. Because it pairs extremely well with his other abilities. For instance, as you saw in the intro clip, I used the recon bolt to find out where the enemies are and track them. Then I popped my ultimate towards the area where they were running away because they wanted to move away from the recon bolt. And by the recon bolt, which trapped them, and my final and third bolt from the ultimate was straight down the middle. And you can do this with any of his abilities, really, other than the shock bolt. You can go in with the drone, track an enemy, or just see where they are, then use your ultimate where you last saw them or nearby. So it's an ultimate that combines and blends in very well with the rest of his abilities, which is very cool. And I think it makes his ultimate a very viable. And I think it's a really good one. It's very easy to use, very simple. It goes through walls. It does very high damage. It actually highlights targets when you hit them too. So that's pretty much all I have to say. There's no real way on how to use it. Just you see where an enemy is by using your abilities, and boom, pop your ult on them. That's simple. Overall, I think that Sova is a quality character in Valorant, but I think that if you really want to use Sova, you're gonna wanna like sort of main him because he requires more skill than some of the other characters in the game. And I think that's the biggest difference between him and others. That while he might be better, until you get to that point where he is better than others, you need to learn a lot. You need to learn a lot about his character, from the bouncing of the arrows to when to use your ult. Like everything with this character is timing and positioning and trajectory and all of that stuff. And I think that's the biggest separation. So, if you want, go ahead, try him out. I'm sure that after a while, you'll eventually learn how he works. You'll be great, but definitely not one of the best characters. That's it for my review. Thanks for watching. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And I'll see you next time.